California is filled with beautiful beaches, hills, and gorgeous women. However, it is also filled with several photographers wanting to take pictures of these beautiful women. Could one of these photographers have been a killer to a beautiful young model and upcoming actress? Let's find out right now. Happy Terrifying Tuesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Caron, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and you're ready to hear a true crime story with yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are you drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20, 30-minute walk, especially first thing in the morning, get those endorphins up, and you're going to have an amazing, wonderful day, I promise you. And I want to thank all of you for joining me on this Tuesday evening while we discuss another true crime case. I hope all of y'all had an amazing weekend this past weekend. We had a great weekend. My daughter was Mardi Gras queen here in Louisiana, and she shined bright like a star, y'all. Whew, she looked good, yeah. But while we were there, we all got sick. Yes, it was freezing down here in Louisiana this past weekend. There was rain, it was cold. It just wasn't a pretty day outside on Saturday or Sunday. So all of us got sick, so y'all bear with me. But my daughter looked absolutely stunning this weekend while she was Mardi Gras queen down here in Louisiana. So let's get into the story. The story I'm going to discuss today, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on my dad's couch in Butte La Rose, Louisiana. My parents had a little camp. We call it a camp. Some people call it a summer home or a lake house. We would go to the camp every weekend. And this place was way down in the bayou. We would catch alligators. We would go crawfishing, crabbing, shrimping, frogging, water ski too. We would just have a good time at my dad's camp. And I saw this magazine while I was sitting on the couch. It was the cover of a People magazine, and there was a beautiful cheerleader on the cover. And I was just drawn to it. Even in 1995, at 11 years old, I was very interested in true crime. I picked up this magazine, I opened it, and I read the true story of this beautiful cheerleader that passed away. Not just passed away, who was brutally murdered. I knew one day I wanted to cover this case because I can remember it like it was yesterday, and it's very heartbreaking. We all think that nothing can happen to us when we are young. We all think that we can just take over everything. Nothing would ever happen to us. We can take control of ourselves. We are naive. We really don't know what goes on in the world. Now, being 40 years old, I know now what to do and what not to do. But as some of you may know, I did model back in the day. I did a lot of modeling, and I loved it. And so did this woman who was absolutely gorgeous. Today, we are going to be talking about 27-year-old Linda Elaine Sobek. Linda Sobek was born on July 9th, 1968 in Los Angeles, California, to her parents, Robert and Elaine Sobek. She had one brother named Steve. Linda always knew she wanted to be a famous Hollywood star. She wanted to be a model. She wanted to be an actress. She wanted to climb her way to the top. And in 1988, Linda tried out for the LA Raiders NFL cheerleader football team. She wanted to be an NFL cheerleader. And she made the team, and that's when she became an LA Radiate. And she loved it. She had hundreds and hundreds of fans. She made people smile. She made people happy. It was the perfect job for Linda Sobek. But all of a sudden, she said to herself, I want more out of life. I don't want to just be an NFL cheerleader. I want to be a model. I want to be an actress. So Linda started modeling. She started posing for car magazines. She started posing for lingerie ads. She was absolutely gorgeous. And she even was going to audition to be on Married with Children. She was climbing her way to the top, and she was going to get there fast because she was an absolutely stunningly beautiful woman. And she knew what she wanted, and she wanted to become a famous Hollywood movie star. On November 16th, 1995, Linda Sobek was extremely excited about maybe being part of Married with Children, the TV sitcom. Y'all, do y'all remember Married with Children? I know I do. It was a very funny show with Al and Peg Bundy and their two kids, Kelly and Bud. It was just a great show, and Linda was so excited that she was going to audition to be a part of Married with Children. Linda calls her mother for their daily 10:30 a.m. phone calls. However, on this day, she tells her mother she cannot talk longer because she has a last-minute photo shoot that she has to get to, and that she will call her later on tonight when she gets back from her audition. Elaine, Linda's mother, says, okay, no problem. But that night, Elaine didn't hear from Linda. She was starting to get worried. Elaine talks to Linda's brother Steve and says, have you heard from Linda? He says no. And she's like, I'm really worried. He's like, Mom, it's okay. She's 27 years old. She probably did this or that. She'll call you later. And her mom's like, no, something's not right. And as we all know, mothers know, we know when something isn't right. We always know when there is something else going on. Elaine started calling all of Linda's contacts, and no one had seen or heard from Linda. She then calls Linda's agent, and Linda's agent said not only hadn't she heard from Linda, but that Linda did not show up for her Married with Children audition. At this point, Elaine was extremely nervous. She said, something happened. Something is wrong. My daughter was too excited about this audition just not to show up. Where is she? Who is she with? Where was this photo shoot? No one knew. Linda's mother, Elaine, was in a panic. She was freaking out. She was wondering, where is her daughter? The next day on November 17th at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, Elaine still hadn't heard from her daughter, Linda. So what does she do? At this point, she knows something is definitely wrong, and she contacts the police department and reports her 27-year-old daughter, Linda Sobek, missing. By Saturday, November 18th, 1995, there are missing flyers of Linda Sobek everywhere. Remember, Linda Sobek was a former LA Raiders cheerleader, so she had hundreds and hundreds of fans. Everyone was looking for Linda Sobek. No one knew where she was. All the cops knew was what Linda's mother had told them, that she had a photo shoot that morning in a remote location and she would call her that night. No one knew where it was. No one knew who the photographer was. No one knew anything. The cops go to Linda's house, but they find nothing. They are mainly looking for her day planner, where she wrote down everything about what she did that day, who she was going to be with, where she was going. She had to keep everything up to date. We don't have a day planner anymore these days because we all have iPhones and everything's in our iPhones. Anyway, the cops get a break in the case on November 21st, 1995, when a young man calls in and says that he found pictures of Linda Sobek in a trash bin in LA National Forest. He said he was walking by and saw these pictures of this beautiful blonde woman in the trash in LA National Forest. And he thought the pictures were so very well done that he took a couple of pictures home with him, which is very odd. But anyway, so the cops asked the man to show them exactly where these pictures were found. The cops go to where all the trash is dumped, and this is where they find Linda's portfolio and her day planner as well. And inside of the day planner, the date for November 16th, that page is completely ripped out. It's gone. So police knew at this point, whoever was with Linda that day didn't want them to know who Linda was with and where she was on that day. And inside of Linda's portfolio, they find a lease agreement for a Lexus SUV. And on that lease agreement is a person's name and address. And remember, Linda Sobek was a car model. She was on several covers of magazines, posing in front of cars. Beautiful, beautiful pictures. So this wasn't out of the ordinary for Linda to be posing with a SUV. And that name on that lease agreement was a professional photographer named Charles Rapin. The cops called the Lexus dealership where the Lexus was rented, and they asked him, hey, did you rent a car to Charles Rapin on November 16th? And they said, why, yes, he picked it up on the morning of November 16, 1995, and brought it back to us on November 20th. The cops said, where is that vehicle now? They said, it's here. They said, don't move it. We're on our way to pick it up to look for evidence. And everyone the cops spoke to said that Charles Rapman was a professional photographer. He was a well sought out photographer, especially for car photo shoots, which was a huge industry in Los Angeles at the time. The cops knew they had to speak to Charles. They called Charles up and they said, hey, do you know Linda Sobek? And he says, why, yes, I photographed her several times. And they said, when's the last time you've seen her? He said, the last time I saw her was on the morning of November 16th at the Denny's restaurant. He said, I was doing a car photo shoot. I was maybe going to use her. So I met with her. I told her to bring her portfolio. I wanted to look through it to see if I could use her for this photo shoot. He said, after I looked through it, I realized I couldn't use it for this shoot. So he said, I left in the Lexus. She left in her car. We both left the Denny's at the same time. I never saw her again. The cops said, okay, we got to look into this more because something doesn't seem right with this. They found a speck of blood inside the Lexus vehicle. They wanted to know more. They knew Charles Rapman knew more about the situation, but what did he know? The cops are looking for Linda everywhere at this point. The cops go to the Denny's restaurant, and what do they find in the Denny's restaurant? They find the car of Linda Sobek. And it is very obvious that the car has been sitting there for a while. It has dust on it, it hasn't moved, but there's no Linda Sobek. So the cops knew that Charles Rapman was lying to them at this point. The cops told Charles Rapman that he had to come in to give a formal statement and to come in at noon that day. He says, sure, no problem, I'll be in. He never shows up. They call him, he says, oh yeah, I'm coming. Again, never shows up. And it's something struck cops as very odd. He says, I guess y'all want to talk to me since I'm the last person that was seen with her. They were shocked. They said, we never told you were the last person seen with her. We told you we just wanted to talk to you. But Charles never showed up. Later that day, the cops get a call that shots were fired at Charles Rapman's house. The cops rush over there to see what's going on at Charles Rapman's home on that day. The cops rush to the home of Charles Rapman, and that is when they find out that he has been drinking all day. He contacted an attorney. He contacted his friend saying he knew about what happened to Linda Sobek. And when the friends got there, he accidentally shot one of the friends in the arm. The cops take him in and they want to speak to him. They want to know what happened to Linda Sobek. He says, yes, she died, but it was a complete accident. He said that he and Linda left the Denny's in the Lexus SUV. They drove out to the LA National Forest where he was going to photograph her in front of this Lexus SUV. He said after a while, he wanted to photograph Linda doing donuts in this SUV, but she didn't know how. So he jumped in the vehicle to show Linda how to do donuts. And this is when he accidentally hit her with the Lexus SUV. He said he tried to revive her, but he couldn't. So he panicked and he buried her in a shallow grave. The cop says, okay, could you please take us to where she was buried? He says, yes, but he really doesn't take them. He takes them all over LA National Forest. He leads them on a wild goose chase. They're everywhere. They can't find her. In my opinion, he was buying some time. He didn't want the cops to know what happened to Linda, and he didn't want them to find her because they were going to find out this wasn't an accident, that he did intentionally murder 27-year-old Linda Sobek. The cops tell him, we need to find her. Tell us where she is. But he wasn't talking. He wouldn't say anything. The cops knew something bad had happened to Linda and they wanted to find her, but he wasn't leading them to where her body was. When the police searched Charles Rapman's home, they found something very disturbing. First of all, he had hundreds and hundreds of firearms. He was obsessed with firearms. They also find a bag, and inside this bag, in my opinion, is a kill kit. They find a firearm, tape, ropes. They find all kind of things that you would bring somewhere when you would hurt someone. And they take this into evidence. They also find pictures of women posed. And when he posed them, it looks like they were deceased women. He would pose them in ways that looked like they were no longer alive. And it was also said by several people that he hated blonde women. And it was also said that he was mad at blonde women. So did he murder Linda Sobek because he had something against blonde women? Was he mad at Linda? Did he make advances toward Linda and she rejected him? So he murdered her? What exactly happened? And the cops were going to find out. Charles Rapin is taken into custody and charged with the murder of Linda Sobek. While he is in custody, he tries to take his own life and writes in blood on the wall, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt anyone." And he says he will now lead cops to the body of Linda Sobek. He leads them directly to her body. They find Linda Sobek. And to their surprise, she has been in the ground for 9 days, but she did not decompose. The temperature was very cool in LA. The ground was very cool, so her body was so well preserved. So the cops had so much evidence. She still looked the same that he put her that day. And you know what else was kind of odd to me? What she was wearing. The cops believe he maybe had dressed her because the way her zipper was on her shirt. And it was only unzipped a little bit. And cops believe that a lot of times that when a woman has a zipper on, they show more chest area. Well, this one was just unzipped like a centimeter. It was weird. So the cops believe Charles Rapin may have dressed her. They also find ligature marks around her ankles. Looks like she had a rope around her ankles and her legs were spread apart and restrained with something else besides the rope. And it looks like she struggled. It also looked like she was SA'd. And she may have been SA'd with the firearm. She had blunt force trauma to her head, and cause of death was asphyxiation. So Charles Rapin did not accidentally hit Linda Sobek with the Lexus SUV. He brutally SA'd and murdered Linda Sobek on November 16, 1995. The cops now know that Charles Rapin is not only a photographer, but a predator. And he murdered Linda Sobek on purpose. In 1996, he goes on trial for the murder of Linda Sobek and is found guilty. And he is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He sits in jail still today, 30 years later. And let me tell you something, he's exactly where he belongs. He is a monster, he is evil, and he took a beautiful young model, an upcoming actress from us. She was only 27 years old, had her whole life ahead of her, but he decided to take her life on that day. And I'm so happy that we got another predator off of the streets, and he's exactly where he belongs, and he will remain there for the rest of his life. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought today is that I want to speak to y'all about sharing your location. Y'all should all be sharing your location with at least one person. Several people have my location because of this situation right here. Especially if you are going on a date, if you're going on a photo shoot, if you're going somewhere that you barely know the person, make sure y'all tell someone who that person is, exactly where y'all going, and what are y'all going to be doing, especially who the person is. If you share your location with someone, they can track you. They know where you are. And I know a lot of us like to be secretive. A lot of us don't want our parents know where we are, or we don't want our husbands know where we are because y'all maybe go shopping, or you don't want your wife to know where you are because you might be looking for a present for her and don't want her to know exactly where you are. I get it. But at least share your location with your best friend or someone that you know very well that can always know where you are, because you never know what could happen. We are all naive, even myself at times. You don't know how many times I will open the door for someone I don't know. And I look back now like, why did I just do that? I cover crime stories all the time. Yes, it could just be the UPS man or the mailman or the neighbor saying, hey, I just ran into your mailbox. You never know, so you just open the door thinking nothing could happen. Don't even do that. Y'all get y'all a Ring camera, y'all speak to the Ring camera, because you never know what someone could do to you. And 27-year-old Linda Sobek went on hundreds of photo shoots. The last thing she thought was that this man was going to hurt her, and she knew him. He photographed her before. She didn't think anything bad was going to happen, but it did. So I want all of y'all to promise me that y'all are going to share your location with at least one person. I don't want anything to happen to any of y'all. I love all of y'all. Yeah, I love all of y'all. And remember, like I always say, be safe, be aware of your surroundings, and know that I'm here for each and every one of you. I want to thank y'all for watching today. I hope that y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. Thank y'all for the love and support. And for you, I am truly grateful. I will see y'all tomorrow night with another true crime story. And as always, I love y'all. I hope y'all have a great night. Bye.